I would like to tell you that there are no reasons. All of the reasons exist in your own mind. They don't exist in reality. Well, so I traveled and I began to learn this law of cause and effect. I applied it in every business I ever went into. The first question I asked is, how do you succeed in this business? And I would go to the top people in the business and I would say, ask for their advice. How do you succeed in this business? And they told me, and I did it, and I achieved success. I would go to the library and I would check out all the books on real estate, importation and distribution, management, sales, sales management, business building, entrepreneurship. I would take out all the books and I would read and read and read and read, and then I would go and practice. Now I asked before, who is the most important person in this room? And you're right, you are the most important person. What is the most important part of this day, of this time we spend together? The answer is the actions you take afterwards. The most important part of what you learn is not the content of what you learn, it's the actions that you take. All successful people are action-oriented. They're constantly taking action on new ideas. Now, if you take action on a new idea, only two things can happen. What are they? Well, you can succeed or you can fail. If you succeed, you do more of that. If you fail, you learn and become smarter, which makes it more likely you will succeed next time. So you cannot lose by taking action. You can only lose by not acting at all. And the majority of people don't take action. The majority of people will hear good ideas, but then they'll always have an excuse for not taking action today. Many years ago, I spoke with Rich DeVos, the founder of Amway Corporation. And we were talking about these subjects, and he said to me, he said that we have determined in our business that there's a direct relationship between how quickly a person takes action on a new idea and how likely it is that they will ever be successful at anything. What we find is that people who hear a new idea and take action within 24 hours will take action on other ideas as well. But if a person hears a new idea and doesn't do anything with it for a few days, the chances are nothing will ever happen. He said action orientation is the key. The best studies that have been done in the last 50 years, looking at successful people whose lives are going better and better, and unsuccessful people whose lives have flattened out, they find that successful people have one quality: they're always taking action. They're always doing more things. So if you hear something good tonight, be sure to take action on it. And take action as fast as you can, because that soon becomes a habit. And when you develop the habit of action orientation, you will accomplish more in the next 2 or 3 years than the other person accomplishes in 10 or 20 years. Action orientation transforms your life. Well, what I learned from this law of cause and effect was this: thoughts are causes, and conditions, the conditions of your life, are the effects. Thoughts are causes, and conditions are effects. Your thinking creates your life. Now, this is the greatest thought in history. This is the great thought of all the religions and all philosophy and all psychology and all success, is that your thoughts create your life. That you can actually change your life by changing the thoughts that you think. Because your life always goes in the direction of your thinking. So here's the great rule for success. It is that you become what you think about most of the time. So the question is, what do you think about most of the time? By the way, this law is true, but it's not 100% true, because if it was 100% true, then every young man would turn into a young woman by the age of 20. So, the question is, what do you think about most of the time? Well, in the last 25 years, big companies have spent many millions of dollars searching for the answer to this question. Several companies, some years ago, put together a pool of more than $20 million. And what they wanted to do was discover what top salespeople think about most of the time. Top business people, top entrepreneurs. Because if they were going to hire salespeople or business people, they wanted to have a profile that would help them make better hiring decisions. So they interviewed more than 350,000 people like you. And they would interview them every week for 6 weeks or 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. And once each week they would phone them up and they would say, "What are you thinking about right now?" And the person would say, "Well, I'm thinking about this," and they would write it down. 1 week later they would call and say, "What are you thinking about right now?" They would do this every week for many months. And gradually they began to see a profile. And they then took this group of people and they sliced them up into 10%. The bottom 10%, the next 10%, and finally the top 10%. And you are in the top 10%. So they looked at the way people in the top 10% think most of the time. And can you guess what the top people, the happiest, highest paid, most successful people think about most of the time? Can you guess? Well, the answer is they think about what they want and how to get it most of the time. Now you say that's too simple. No, it's the key to success. Is successful people think about what they want and how to get it. They think about their making more money and doubling their income. They think about health and they think about their family. They think about their home. They think about their car. They think about what they want most of the time, and they think about how to get it. Now, I want to share with you a word which you already know, and this is the most important word for success. Are you ready? It's the word how. Okay. So from now on, whenever you have a goal, the only question you ask is how. Whenever you have a problem, the only question you ask is, how do I solve it? If you want to double your income, the only question you ask is, how do I double my income? So I want you to say the word. Say how. Now, say it again. Wonderful. From now on, whenever there's anything in your life that you want to change, the only question you ask is how. Because how is the question of the top 10%. How is the question of the self-responsible person. How is the question of the action-oriented person. The person who asks how is one of the top people in our society. Everyone works for and under the people who think in terms of how. Here's a good point. Every goal that you could ever have has already been achieved by someone. Every problem you could ever have has already been solved by someone. Every question you could ever ask has already been answered by someone. Your question is simply to ask how. How did others do it? And there's a rule in success that says success leaves tracks. In other words, there are tracks to any kind of success you want, and your job is to find the tracks and follow the tracks to double your income, to create a wonderful life. All the answers have been found. And nobody's better than you, nobody's smarter than you. If someone is doing better than you today, there's a simple explanation. They figured out how before you did. That's all. And here's another discovery. Anything anyone else has done, you can do as well. If they have done it, that means you can do it. We're not talking about being an Olympic athlete. We're not talking about winning a Nobel Prize in physics. We're just talking about being a big success in life. And if there are hundreds of thousands or millions of other people who are successful starting from very little, it means that you can do it as well. As long as you keep asking the question, how? So, We find in interviewing these people that the top people have one special quality. And this is a quality that makes South Korea one of the great countries in the world today. Not because of size, but because of your accomplishments. 20 years ago, 50 years ago, South Korea was a very different country from today. Today, South Korea is one of the most respected countries in the world. And soon, if your coach works out, the South Korean soccer team will be one of the most respected soccer teams in the world, right? If Gus Riddick can get everybody working together, soon you will be one of the top, if not the #1 soccer team in the world. It's going to happen because Gus Riddick has only one question, and that's how. How do we make this a world-class soccer team? Right? So we ask, what is the most important quality for success, happiness, and long life? Can you guess what the most important quality is? Well, the answer is very simple. In interviewing tens of thousands of successful people, they find the #1 quality is the quality of optimism. Successful people are optimists. They are positive about themselves and their future. They think about what they want most of the time, and they are what we call realistic optimists. That means they recognize that there are a lot of problems in the world, but they are realistic and they're optimistic about solving the problems and achieving their goals. So what we learned is this, is that optimism is a quality of mind, and you can compare your mind with your body in this way. Congratulations. Keep going. Never give up. And your success is guaranteed.